Yo, I'm Hydron. Currently the best tracer in the world on the Toronto Defiant. And I'm here with Spilo to coach somebody up here. So
Yes, this is 10. This is a low Grandmaster Tracer player. When you're rolling out Tracer, first couple of priorities as Tracer, what do those tend to be for you?
well, the first thing is always scouting, because depending on what comp the enemy's playing, or even like the map is the way you kind of have to dictate the way you play tracer. So each comp, like different comps, vary your play style and how you want to play, and how you want to play tracer. So that's the first thing you want to do. After you've established that, I think the second most important part is creating two angles with your team. So your team is on one angle, and you're creating like a side pressure, like an angle from the other side, while not dying.
Right,
You don't even have to get kills, but
right,
just that concept of creating pressure from other angles.
right. Okay.
And then the third thing I would say, um, is probably just valuing your life. Like like with thing on Tracers, you never want to die. Dying is the worst thing you can do on Tracer. Even if you trade it, like if you can live as much as you can, you can keep your uptime as high as possible. Um, that's probably the best thing you can do on Tracer.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say that's what my top three are, and top four is probably just hitting your pulse bombs, because that
Okay.
all is OP.
Okay. So I guess for each point here, when you're talking about looking at matchups, what are you kind of looking for? Because it's always going to be different. So are there any? What are you specifically looking for when you see the enemy composition, either directly or through pressing tab?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way is just hitting tab, because in that way you can see what the enemy's playing and you can see what you're playing. And so when you can establish like what comp your team's running and what comp they're running and how to kind of play against, like if you have a monkey or if you have a Rhine, like those are completely two different ways of playing Tracer, because one of the ways you have somebody to dive with you and to set up with you, and the other ways, like with a Rhine, you have to play by yourself, like you're playing a solo game.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to rely more on like health packs and kind of making your own plays
Sure,
in that
sure.
sense.
And then when it comes to the two angles that you talked about, how do you decide on which angle to take? Because even on a map like this where there isn't a lot of angles, there are multiple angles that you could set up. So how do you decide on which one to take, I guess?
I think the easiest way is just to see where the enemy is.
Okay.
Um, because Tracer is a flanker, so you most of the time I want to say you want to start as a basic general rule, you want to kind of start behind the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and approach it that way. Because I mean, if you're shooting somebody from behind them and they have to turn around, or if the healer has to choose between shooting you, dying, or healing his team, like you're creating pressure in more ways than one
Right.
by just being behind them.
Right. That makes sense. Third point there, you talked about playing your life more. Are there any tricks or tips that you have for like being able to survive more? I think the mindset's important, what you said, but are there any specific ways that you can do that better?
I think a lot of tracers take unnecessary risks with like their blinks and recalls. I think a lot of tracers. I think the thing about being like a really good tracer is really knowing your limits and what you can get away with. Um, Kind of min maxing it that way. So I think a lot of problems people have is using an extra blink when it's not necessary,
Mm.
or burning the recall before a fight starts.
Mm.
That prevents them from playing normally and getting regular value.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, and then with the pulse bombs, do you have any tips for like just improving your pulse bomb accuracy?
Keep practicing it. There's
Okay,
no set way on how to hit a pulse bomb.
okay, okay. Would you recommend like a workshop code or maybe like a death match or just grinding rank or all the above?
I just playing ranked. Like you hit them more as you play the hero.
Okay,
There's nothing to it.
sounds good. All right, we'll get into it. Uh oh. Feels like right now,
Yeah,
uptime is a little low.
yeah. He's like almost zero uptime. Like he shot the Kiriko and he kind of just got out, but he didn't take any damage.
Right, right. Could have continued to distract even if we can't go for the kills.
Right. Yeah, like he kind of just has no uptime.
Right.
Like he hasn't. like against his comp, he hasn't really found the ball at all.
Right. Right.
Or he hasn't really been looking for the tracer outside of that one flank. So he's kind of just shooting their Kiriko, who can realistically, especially at this level, you can just force him out by himself because the hero's broken. But
Right.
I wouldn't say he's been doing the job he needs to do against his comp.
Right. Thoughts?
Unnecessary.
Okay. What do you mean?
You can go back. He kind of just like he doesn't know where anybody is. He blinks in, sees the Suzu, which is like all right, but then he pulses and recalls. He didn't need to do either, or he could have pulsed, but he didn't need to recall.
Right. Right. We had a blink. We were in cover. Okay.
Right.
Interesting. And once again, now our uptime, right?
Right. Yeah. He kind of just shot in the dark and it didn't pay off. So now he's out the fight for a while now. Can you pause?
Yeah, sure.
I think, like, I don't know, like, from what it looks like, he's like, it's like he's waiting for something to happen. You know what I mean? Like, he's waiting for his monkey to jump, or he's waiting for somebody to dive in. But I don't think he realized that he has to be the one to go first on his team because no one else can.
Right. Would you be doing that now that you have the angle cleared? Would you continue to try and contest Ash Mercy, or would you be actively hunting the ball tracer like you were bringing up earlier?
On this point, I would probably be going for the Ash Mercy because the Ana, Cass, and Mercy stacked in White Room is good enough, I would say, for them to live.
Okay.
And if that Ash Mercy ends up staying there, they're just gonna kill everybody.
Sure. I do feel like the lane is cleared now, right? We don't have to run to the Kiriko anymore, so theoretically we can get on top of them. Oh boy. The uptime. We got to make a decision, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not even uptime. It's he keeps back blinking.
Right.
Like I mean, his comp is terrible. Like his team's comp is terrible. But like he's diving his backline instead of theirs.
Right.
And by the time he wants to go for their backline, he has no cooldowns.
Yeah, true. We don't have the 3. Main takeaways from you from watching the first round, if you were coaching this tracer player, what are the big picture stuff that you think needs to be improved upon so far?
Taking space and initiative.
Okay.
And creating opportunity for your team.
Okay. Makes sense. And how do you practice that? Just through pressing tab more, looking for opportunities, taking them more with more confidence, or?
I would say just keep taking risks with confidence because every tracer player has gotten one shot randomly. Like it happens. Like
right.
You only get better at it with practice.
True.
So,
okay.
Like him blinking to the Ash on the Mega, like he could have easily just get one shot.
Right.
But at least it's the right play, you know?
Right. Makes sense. All right.
That was great. That he didn't recall. That was fantastic. that literally saved his life. That he like just knowing what you can get away with.
Right.
Now I would just look for their tracer and ball and just play like the edges and sides of point.
Right.
Because that's the only place they can come from.
Right. So just checking like right, left, just kind of ping pong control that flank.
And clearing them and then pushing forward.
Okay. We talk about comps differences, right? Like how you're playing the mark more here. Why is it that you're not diving their Kiriko in this composition? Because obviously the GM tracer understands this, but for someone who's not Grandmaster, why are you marking ball tracer in these situations instead of going for backline?
Because in their comp, like their entire comp is based off that ball tracer slamming and working and killing somebody.
Right.
If the Pharah with the Mercy ends up killing everybody, that's not on you. That is just out of your control. So you can only play with what you can control.
Right.
And that's controlling those two players.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. You look at their comp, you see a bunch of dive heroes, and you're like, well, my team doesn't have dive heroes. They have dive
Right.
heroes. I can help prevent them from diving.
Exactly. You can't go first with your comp, but you can stop them from going first.
Got it.
And if you have point, then you win.
Right, just wait it out.
Right.
Oh.
I don't know. I would have said after you kill the Mercy to go for the cure kill instead of blinking back. 'Cause I really believe, I'm really a firm believer of going backwards is almost always wrong.
So, let's see here. Right here.
Here. Now,
Yeah.
slowly, don't blink, just walk to the cure kill.
Gotcha.
Yes, he has no healer. And if you can get him out the fight, then they have no heals, and you'll more than likely kill her.
Okay, okay.
And if you can get the Tracer to turn on you, even better.
Now, here's my question. Because we talked about marking. Is that what we're doing here? Or are we overextending in the mark? I'm trying to find the balance between this because it's an art, right? So we talk about marking, but now we're marking too far backwards. Is that what you're saying?
Because marking should mostly be done before the fight starts.
Got it. Got it.
You want to mark.
Got it.
You want to prevent the fight from happening.
Right.
If the fight happens, you have to be like you have to take the initiative.
Right. Right. So you go, it's more available rather than marking at that point in time.
Right. Because you can mark a Tracer and end up losing like the 1v1, and then what? Like you can't just hide.
Right.
You have to keep going, but with caution.
Got it. Okay. Would you say this marking is at a good time? I guess slightly pre-fight. Well, outside of letting the res open.
That was good. Then once the Tracer blew past them, you shouldn't blink back. That's your time to go forward.
Okay. So right here.
Leave him alone.
Got it.
You see two healers in front of you, get them out the
Right.
fight.
So don't chase. If you mess up the mark and they get past you, or the fight starts and they get past it, leave it. Let them go. Don't chase.
Right, because the Tracer's looking to go with his ball, and if you're chasing him and he's going around like corners and he's going around the map, you're losing because he's doing what he has to be doing and you're going backwards.
Right. You're doing your job.
And it's not like you're killing him anyway.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Like now he should just be getting behind them.
Gotcha. So
He's taking way too long.
Gotcha. So not marking here as much because we're retaking the space, or what?
Right. The Tracer should be marking you now.
Right, because they have
You
point.
have nothing to do with the Tracer because he has the point.
Got it.
Look, now he's kind of playing the same angle with his team, and he can't really get anywhere.
Right. Ooh. Okay. Nice. Sit on the body. No Suzu, so it's free.
Now this is where you don't want to die. Okay, that was great, but
Play cautious.
just in case that guy wants to 1v1 you, you really don't want to die here.
Right, because you're up 2. You just need to survive. This fight's won. It's in the bag.
Right, and
no
he's
recall.
And he has mines, so if he dies here, they're gonna win because they're ulting still. And
Right.
This team has no ults.
Right. Been deadlifting this round anyway.
Oh, what are we like?
That felt like a recall just from I'm gonna get headshot. But obviously there's no guarantee of that, you know? Just 80-80 straight. Worst case scenario, you get headshot, then you recall, right?
Yeah, don't assume.
Right. Right. Okay.
Everyone chokes, right?
Yeah.
He might have hit him with a body shot.
There
Now
it
look,
is.
he hits him with that shot and he's dead.
Yep. Ouch. Okay, so after having seen 2 rounds here, what are your main takeaways for this Tracer player that they need to be working on overall?
Going forward. And
Explain what you mean by that. Like sum it up in one big tight package.
there's a lot of like blinking backwards. Like he's blinking towards his team instead of away from his team.
Gotcha. Okay, so when the marking's done, deepen.
Yeah, because once you've marked and you've prevented the Tracer from coming out the fight, and you go into his backline, the Tracer is like most likely in his backline, which is terrible for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're 1v1ing a support, and that's always good.
Right. Okay. Anything else that you've seen?
I'd say being more careful with his recalls.
Okay.
Or just learning how to, what you can get away with,
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times where he dies because he kind of just guesses,
Right. He feels like I should recall, but there's no
but
real.
nothing actually happened to him.
Right. And then he dies afterwards because he doesn't have recall, or he does nothing
Right.
because he's playing slow because he doesn't have recall afterwards, and then we lose the fight.
Right. Yeah. So I would just say those two main things, like he just being more aggressive and
Sure.
not being as cautious, but I don't know. It's a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.